Well, in addition to managing stormwater during flooding, of course, rising water levels is another critical element for Melbourne. We're on a bay, so rising sea levels is a constant discussion at the moment, and the impact on people living and working in those areas. But we also have a river running through our city, and so we are very vulnerable to flooding during those extreme weather events. Just recently, in fact, last year, we had one of those events in Melbourne, and we were actually quite pleased to see that some of the longer term planning elements that we had put in place, making sure that areas prone to flooding had been maintained as open spaces. So we hadn't built on those areas, and that enabled them to flood and those waters to recede over time without damaging people's health and well-being or property. We've also built in banks and levees in areas that are vulnerable to flooding to be able to provide that sort of confidence and security. And then, of course, it's a lot about the programs and measures that we put in place to respond, because we can't anticipate every element of flooding, but how do we respond at the time? All of those elements in terms of emergency service responses are important. I did just want to add one thing, and that is that planting trees and understory around our city is beneficial for so many reasons, but one of them is also to provide those porous areas, but also stability during times of flood. And the more established those plantings are, the better. And for us, those planting programs at pace are important for that, as well, of course, as things like canopy cover during extreme heat events as well. Look, it's a really big challenge. I think uncertainty combined with change can be a lethal weapon. And, you know, in many situations, over-analysis leads to paralysis, and we see communities and cities in inertia at a time when we really need to be responding at pace and at scale. It's one of the reasons why we declared the climate and biodiversity emergency, was to say, not only do we know that this is important, but we know we need to act and respond with urgency and energy. From our perspective, I think actually one of the big learnings out of COVID, again, another time of incredible uncertainty in a situation where we didn't have a rule book, we didn't have a playbook to utilise, is that during that time, we decided to become a city of yes. And I think that would really resonate with the people of Hull at the moment with their Oh Yes campaign. And underlying the city of yes approach was that we knew we were going to try some things that may not work, but that was okay, because we would learn from those and we could adjust as we kept moving forward. But that momentum of being a city of yes and showing that willingness to try, and more often than not, many things were effective, has also been a positive for us as we've looked at our responses and plans, both from a mitigation and an adaptation perspective. I think it encompasses it really nicely. We need to be cities and communities of yes, where we're really involved in and committed to action, and learning from whether things go well or things don't. The failures can be just, in fact, sometimes even more valuable in terms of providing that leapfrog forward. And it's been a very positive momentum for us here in Melbourne.